Happy Friday, friends, and welcome to Acoustic Guitar Showcase number 90 here at Eddie's Guitars. We sure appreciate you being with us on another lovely, a little bit chilly Friday afternoon here in St. Louis, at least. Not as cold as it has been, perhaps not as cold as it will get, but chilly for sure. And we have an array of fun guitars to get through today, so we sure appreciate you being here with us, folks. Do say hello to my good friend Alejandro, joining us behind the controls and quite literally running the show today.
What's up, guys? I'm the guy behind the curtain, as you know.
That is him. That's him.
Good to be back. It's been a while since we've had a stream,
I was just going to say, Alejandro, don't go anywhere. Before we dive right in, what's new with you?
I mean, guitars. That's what's new. We got some new brands on the wall today,
yes,
that have not been featured on live stream before.
You
I'm excited
correct.
about that.
At least one, right? At least one.
At least one.
At least one.
At least one. That's
maybe,
enough for me.
Maybe two as far as live streams go, but yes, indeed. Yeah, we've got an exciting group of guitars today. The first one, I've got to say, is one of my favorites that I've played from this company in some time. I think is very safe to say. This is a Huss and Dalton FS model. FS, as you may have gathered, is short for fingerstyle. This is a model that they've built for a number of years now. It's sort of loosely, if you take a look at sort of the silhouette of this guitar, it's loosely sort of a sloped shoulder kind of a body design here. It is a 14 fret guitar with that cutaway, as you can see, but a full-size body with a comfortable, think kind of like an OM style depth to the body on this guitar. So not a terribly deep body. The way that they brace the tops on these FS models makes for a very responsive, very expressive guitar, and even as a brand new infantile creation, as this particular example is here. The woods that we were able to kind of collaborate with Huss and Dalton in choosing for this guitar are very top notch, and I'm excited to dig into the actual specifications of this guitar. The top that we're starting with here is a rather lovely piece of Sinker Redwood. We are no strangers to Sinker Redwood here at Eddie's Guitars. This is a lovely example. I love the sort of racing stripes down the center, as you can see there, but a beautiful specimen of nice old Sinker Redwood. Aptly used, I think, in the fingerstyle model, really putting all of that, again, nuance and sort of fidelity, even the clarity into this FS model very nicely. You can see going around that nice petite sound hole there is a beautiful abalone rosette, a nice splash of color shell there going around that sound hole. Very nice addition. Otherwise, we've got some relatively simple, if you will, purfling around the top of the guitar, done in like a black, maple black, sort of a 3-ply configuration there around the top. Otherwise, the binding on the guitar itself is just a beautifully figured koa, man, just beautiful koa binding. And that's not only around the body, it's also around the neck and the headstock. We will get to those shortly here, but I wanted to show some more details of the body of this guitar itself. We've got an incredibly high figure set of figured black walnut. This is a USA, North America, if you will, native species, grows kind of right literally in our backyard, at least here in the Midwest it does. This is a fabulous example of nice black walnut. I've got to say, I don't always find black walnut with this type of figure to it. So this is a rather impressive specific set in and of itself here. Really nice. I love how they've done the abalone back strip, tying perfectly in with that rosette on the face of the guitar, giving it a nice kind of mate there to the back. Really nice. If we go all the way up to the headstock on this creation, you'll see a figured Ziracote veneer. And as I said, the continuation of the koa binding, not only around that headstock, but also the fingerboard. We've got gold mini Godo 510 tuning machines on this guitar. A nice touch for sure. Beautifully functional as well. We've got also a beautiful Ziracote fingerboard on this guitar with those sort of offset mother of pearl dot fingerboard, and I'm sorry, not mother of pearl, abalone rather, I'm sorry, sort of on the bass side, the player side, if you will, of that fingerboard. Kind of a nice, slightly modern touch, not being right in the center there, but a really beautiful silhouette of a guitar, I've got to say. This is a 25.4-inch scale length, again, giving you that nice kind of full scale guitar. Again, big dynamic range out of this guitar. Rightly so. I was anticipating a guitar that would really, you know, kind of respond to that nice. Very sweet on sort of the whisper end of the spectrum there. Very sweet indeed. But what I was not as much anticipating was frankly the versatility of this guitar. Jandro, I was also not anticipating losing my pick. There it is. Oh, thanks for helping me find it.
Anytime.
Like I said, I was not quite anticipating this thing to be able to get up and roar quite like it does, but it sure does. Even a bit of kind of muscular mid-range in there. Beautiful sustain out of those chords, and I've got to say, an overtone presence in the voice of this guitar. Those harmonics are present. They are not by any means overwhelming in the voice of this guitar. I really like how you still get those strong fundamental quality notes out of this guitar. Really makes for that nice, those big kind of low notes especially. Said, satisfying with a pick for sure, but I think probably a little bit more deliberately tuned for kind of the finger style playing. Definitely a beauty of a guitar, man. We've been dealing with Huss and Dalton for a long time, and as I said, I this particular guitar definitely speaks to me, but just the sort of customization ability we're able to do with Huss and Dalton has always been fun over the years, really creating some unique, fun instruments.
So I've got a question from Chris on YouTube.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Carthago guitars out of Spain? It's this guy's making Chris a OM with baked Sitka top, pre-war scalloped Sitka bracing, antique mahogany back and sides, and a laser engraved logo with gold filling.
Wow. That sounds like a cool guitar. And tell me the name of the builder again. I'm sorry.
Carthago or Carthago out of Spain.
I can't say that that's a name that's familiar to me, at least at this point. So I'll, Chris, I appreciate you turning us on to that. Congrats on the build. It sounds like it's in the process, if I understood correctly, Jandro.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
Congrats on that. That sounds like, just based on those details, an awesome guitar. I'll have to educate myself on that maker. I appreciate that.
And shout out to John Kaywell. He mentioned he bought the Greenfield G1 today. It rocks.
Very nice. Nothing wrong with a Greenfield G1. Nothing wrong with that at all. Congrats, John. Very good. Very good.
And before you get into this next guitar, Maxwell had a question relating to the last one.
Yeah.
How would you describe Redwood's tone as a top generally? This thing has some serious projection.
It does. Yeah, so Redwood I would normally qualify as sounding like it is, slightly less stiff compared to some of the spruces we know and love and are well familiar with by this time. Usually you don't get quite as much projection out of Redwood just due to the stiffness difference there. But in turn, what you do get as a result of that is, I think, as we really heard in that Huss and Dalton, a sweetness, almost like a honey type of quality to it, for lack of better ways to say it. There's a lingering, almost reverby type of effect that Redwood tends to have. Of course, the degree of that can depend on what is on the back and sides of the guitar, how is the builder, put the thing together and all of that. But usually a slightly more subdued, projection, again, kind of delivery than you would get from Spruce, but more of a sweetness, I would say, more of a warmth, but not usually at the expense of clarity. It's kind of a warm yet defined kind of a character to it, if you will. Redwoods and sinker redwoods we really, really like around here. So beautiful stuff to look at too, which is hard to ignore. Folks, I have to admit, when I was putting these guitars on the wall earlier today and kind of preparing for the showcase today, tuning these guitars up, as I was tuning this particular guitar, I thought Hondro was tricking me with some alternate form of amplification that was coming from like behind me or over here or off to the side or something. I hope that these microphones are even remotely capturing a little bit of what I'm about to describe. This guitar has a surround sound effect, at least to the player. I haven't bothered anybody in the shop to say, how many guitars does this sound like? But from my perspective, there is just like an array of sound kind of hitting you from all angles. I haven't experienced quite like this, that effect in a McNally before, and quite frankly, not many other guitars for that matter either. But this one, to me, it just has just a almost surround sound effect to it. No sound ports, none of that. This is an OM custom for reference. I'll get to what it is eventually, I promise. Hondro, let's take a look at this thing. Folks, we've got a blue sinker Bearclaw Sitka Spruce top. What a mouthful. What an eyeful, for that matter. This just an incredibly beautiful and very deep, seasoned looking piece of soundboard material here. I love all the deep Bearclaw that you see in there. Really beautiful effect that you get. Again, we've got a beautiful abalone rosette going around the sound hole. And if you look at the very inside, that very inner edge, we actually have a bit of black binding there, just giving it perfect definition. Just a cool detail, I've got to say, really nice. But just a staggeringly great looking old sinker Sitka top on this. Really, really neat stuff. We've got a flamed maple binding around the body of this guitar, giving it a beautiful kind of blonde frame. If this bit of hinting of sapwood here is any indication whatsoever, you had best believe we've got a magnificent set of figured African Blackwood on the back and sides of this guitar. Man, it's been a long time since I've seen a piece of African Blackwood I love as much as this one. I'm just going to say it. This isn't just fabulous set of wood. I'm not sure how long Kieran's been sitting on this set of wood, but boy, oh boy, I'm glad he built us a guitar with this beautiful array of, symmetrical, but not perfectly symmetrical sapwood going down the center of the back. And as you can see, as I kind of roll the lighting over this back, that's not a super, super high gloss, mirror-like finish on this guitar. In fact, it's like almost a hand rub, think almost like a Loudon style finish, if you will, kind of that hand rubbed, slightly satin, but still has a bit of that sheen to it as well. The way that the light sort of glows around this guitar, especially the dark areas of this guitar, is really, really kind of romantic. I've got to say, it's really nice. All the way up on the headstock, we will see a beautiful African Blackwood veneer. We've got the standard fare for the McNally logo done in gold foil. Just beautiful, beautiful logo and headstock all the way around. Rather simple, but powerful, I've got to say. We've got gold Goto 510 tuning machines on this guitar with the ebony buttons and an ebony rear veneer on the headstock with a beautiful volute carved into that mahogany neck as well right there. 1 3/4 nut on this guitar, 2 1/4 spacing down here at the bridge with a comfortable 25.4-inch scale length on the OM, custom from Kieran there. And if you want to talk about overtone presence, harmonic complexity, this is a good subject to study right here, is this guitar. The just the sustain that rolls out of this guitar and kind of blooms and kind of raises those harmonic overtones up as those notes linger out is awfully, awfully nice. And I've got it in standard tuning right now as I've got all the guitars in today. I've got to tell you, I've had this guitar down into some pretty dark, low tunings. The clarity it retains, even with the stock light gauge strings that are on it, is really darn impressive. But what a sweet voice in this guitar. like that one.
And a question from Jason on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think the African Blackwood, with its hardness and reflectivity, contributes to the amazing resonance of this guitar?
Without question. Absolutely. Yeah, it's not ever going to do it on its own, I don't think. It surely takes a builder that can, kind of lean into the strengths of what a piece of wood like this can do, but absolutely, yes. And I think even down to the sustain qualities of this guitar, I think the density of this wood, something about it just keeps that sustain vibrating within the guitar itself, providing that nice long sustain. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. The reflectivity of it is a perfect word. I think the fact that there's so much, rapidly, actively bouncing around, not only inside the guitar, but certainly outside of the guitar as well, that sonically it just gives you lots of different sort of, kind of modal points, if you will, within each actual raw fundamental note. Again, just complex is the best word I can think of for this guitar.
And David is asking if blue Sitka is a type of spruce.
So it's a Sitka spruce. They call it blue sinker Sitka, as it comes from that was reclaimed, if you will, from these float camps up in and around Alaska specifically, because that Sitka spruce, where a lot of Sitka spruce grows, is in Alaska. They will use these big spruce logs. They're not guitar tops at that point. They're logs still. They have big spruce logs that they'll make like float camps out of, literally, and folks will either fish or live on the water there. And eventually that deteriorates and breaks down, and folks have the wherewithal to reclaim that wood. You better believe it's not just find an old log of spruce and we're going to turn a guitar out of it. Not every single log is fit to be a guitar, for sure. So it's a bit of a kind of a hunt to find the stuff that is worthy to make instruments of this quality out of. So it's a pretty neat, fascinating process, really, if you ask me. I'd like to be around when some of this goes on and actually gets broken down and such. Andro.
You were supposed to tune that one.
I thought you tuned this one. I thought Kyle actually tuned this one.
Well, while you're tuning, in an OM context, how would you describe the difference between African Blackwood and Brazilian and Cocobolo?
In an OM context, okay, we're gonna focus on one term here. The term is woodiness, because to my ear, the thing that separates those three woods, amongst other things, the thing that probably first comes to mind is the woody quality or lack thereof between those three woods. In my book, the Brazilian rosewood pretty consistently is going to have what I would deem as the woodiest tone. And that is as opposed to a glacier tone, if you will, while we're doing the cork sniffing terms. The Brazilian is going to have, and maybe again this is just what my ear associates it with, is that old traditional woody mid-range presence type of tone. I think the next away from that would be Cocobolo, would be sort of in the middle between Brazilian and African Blackwood, as far as typically, and again, depending on what the builder contributes most importantly, usually Cocobolo will have less of that mid-range presence, or at least less of the, I guess, maybe somewhat middle to upper mid-range presence that to me Brazilian has, that I kind of hear out of Brazilian. Cocobolo certainly has less of that, more of almost a scooped mid-range by comparison, where African Blackwood, to me, if anything, it's almost like you're taking the whole EQ line and moving the whole thing upward all at the same time. You're enhancing the bass, the middle, and the treble, and getting, to me, the furthest away from that woody quality, really getting into that glassy, reflective overtone present. Again, not necessarily a lack of mid-range, but not the, again, This is a word I use and hopefully translates to other folks. Not the woody quality that I hear out of Brazilian, perhaps, but good question. Very good question. I hope anything I said made sense.
And Firecracker Heart mentioned that the sapwood on that African Blackwood back book match is giving some excellent Rorschach imagery.
It's an amazing piece of wood. The sapwood is not hurting anything.
And Matt say...
Hey, I wasn't finished with my statement. I was
go
tuning, Hondro. Hang on a second. But the fact that it has that finish on it that it has, to me, really elevates it to another level of like, really cool. Sorry, Hondro, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted you to say hi to Jeff Jewett, who's hanging out in the chat.
Good to have you.
As well as Kistner from Ryan.
Kizzy.
Hey, Shirt Brothers, listening while carving a bevel, and that African Blackwood was gorgeous.
He's one that would know. So would Jeff, for sure.
Yeah.
Appreciate you both being here, big time. Ooh, baby. Folks, at the beginning of our showcase today, Hondro mentioned we've got at least one new to us builder on the wall behind us today. In fact, that guitar happens to be in my lap right now. This is from exactly that, a new to us builder by the name of Brendan O'Gorman out of the United Kingdom. This is the first ever guitar I've ever been able to play of Brendan's. I absolutely guarantee you it will not be the last. We have been so blown away by this guitar, despite the tuning it was in when we started this stream. We have played it. I've been so blown away by this guitar, and really have had a good time just getting acquainted with Brendan himself, quite frankly. The guitar that he sent us, and I'll be honest with you, this is not a guitar I ordered. This is a guitar that he was in the finishing processes of kind of building when we first started getting acquainted. The guitar he sent us, though, is his Moir model. And I've got to say, just even looking at the models of his on his website and so on, they're all beautiful. They all have their own personality for sure, and they are all very much so O'Gorman guitars. They're not a copy of anybody else's, I wouldn't say by any means. But when I saw just the physicality and the shape of this guitar, especially with that cutaway, I was like, oh man, I hope he's working on one of those right now, because that just instantly, this body shape and everything, the aesthetic to it, really, really spoke to me. This is a 12 fret configuration on this particular example here, which is cool because it kind of gives you not only a little bit shortened neck feel, if you will, little nice comfortable reach all the way to the first position there. It also kind of kicks the bridge back just a little bit into the body of the guitar, giving it a nice kind of warm, responsive feel for sure. But clear and clean as can be. Man. So folks, wood-wise, Hondro, let's take a close look at this beauty. I would really like to. We have got a Swiss moon spruce top on this guitar, and man, I don't know where he found this, but this is a beautiful example, just totally consistent from top to bottom. Very, very tight grain. I'm trying not to get totally blown out on the camera there if we don't have to, but just a beautiful blonde piece of spruce on this top. Man, what a beautiful selection. We've got a set of Tasmanian Blackwood for the rosette on this guitar. As you can see there, really nice figure to that Blackwood, nice golden color as well. Really beautiful, as well as an effective forearm bevel here, which has some beautiful carving all the way around. Very, very fine purfling work and just framing around that bevel as well. Really nice. I like how it almost just sort of disappears by the time you get to the extreme lower bout down here. Really cool design. And again, just the Florentine, sort of extreme Florentine cutaway, there's just an effortlessness to the look of this body. I'm absolutely confident it took a lot of effort to get it to look this way. But man, it's just a beautiful kind of petite, but still comfortable full-size guitar. It's definitely not a tiny little guitar at all. Back and sides of this guitar are a killer, highly flamed set of Tasmanian Blackwood, tying in with the rosette on the face of the guitar. We also have a generous rib rest carved right into the upper edge here, giving you just all sorts of ergonomic, delightful comfort. And once again, lots of trouble was gone to have all that beautiful purfling just perfectly framing all of the inner binding and body of this guitar, but a gorgeous set of highly flamed acacia wood, if you will. They're really beautiful stuff. All the way up on the headstock, we will see a matching book-matched headstock veneer to match the back and sides of this guitar. And Handra, while you're working back there, if that's in fact what you're doing, I'm kidding. Do me a favor, check the neck material on this guitar.
Sure.
I feel like I know what it is, but I don't want to embarrass myself. It looks like a flame maple. I'll just expose it to you now, folks. It is not, though. If you could remind me what that is, I would sure appreciate it, Handro.
Sure, that's flamed English sycamore.
English sycamore. I was going to say sycamore. I would not have remembered the English, quite frankly, but man, what a, again, blonde, highly figured, very three-dimensional figured piece of wood there, just on the neck itself. And I've got to say, I really, again, like the sort of layout of this guitar. It has a 25.4-inch scale length, which for a 12-fret guitar is a really nice just combination of, kind of relatively smaller body, full scale length, though, and 12-fret neck design, really a cool combination. 1 3/4 at the nut. And I believe we're right at 2 1/4 down here at the bridge, if I recall correctly. And we've got a beautifully carved ebony bridge down here with a really just nice looking bone. Let me give you a close up of that. It's a really nice carved bone saddle down there. Nice, just aesthetic to that. But again, beautifully voiced in this guitar. And another guitar that has a nice, but again, balanced presence of the harmonic kind of stuff happening out of it. Man, a lot of character, a lot of nuance in that voice as well. great sustain as well, man. And again, just beautifully crafted. You know, I don't see, while I'm sure there is a lot of influence, it just really seems like a beautiful original design and approach to me, which is really cool, really refreshing. Beautiful piece. As I said, we're really eager to see more work from Brendan through our shop here, and hopefully that will be a lot sooner than later.
And Firecracker Heart mentioned great lines and great design choices on the O'Gorman.
Seriously, absolutely correct. And you know, it's cool when a guitar feels great and looks great, has great lines and everything. But man, it's got to sound the part. It's got to sound like it's meant to be on this wall. And that one's meant to be on this wall for sure.
And Jason asking if Tasmanian Blackwood is similar to Koa in its tonality.
Well, they're both acacias, so yes, they're not. You know, Koa is native to Hawaii, of course, but they are in the same genus family, if you will. Hence the similar aesthetic that you get, similar color, even down to the figure. In fact, I've seen some Tasmanian Blackwood that, quite frankly, has been marketed as Koa by some companies out there. So a lot of people wouldn't even know the difference anyway. So.
And Matt, say hello to Bryce Rogero, who's also joined us in chat.
So good to have you here. We appreciate it.
And a shout out to Motor Medics, who was in our shop last week, and after a little indecisiveness, took home his first Kevin Ryan. He absolutely loves it.
Beautiful. I think what was the name on that?
His name is Ryan. Ryan, who bought a Ryan.
Well, that's a no-brainer.
And Maxwell Garces mentioned that he's also a fellow Dan Flash's shopper. Throwing that out there.
Very nice. Very nice. You go in. Yes, you do. Okay. We're going to get carried away real quick there. Ooh, yeah. See, this is what I love about these showcases, folks. We can have a guitar that, like we just played moments ago from Brendan O'Gorman, and then immediately next pick up what to me is virtually on the opposite end of the tonal spectrum, the style spectrum, if you will, the approach, the influence, all of that, I think is just vastly different. But we'll see that it sure makes a lovely guitar as well. Andro, let's look at this thing before I get carried away. I know I will. Folks, this is a Preston Thompson OMBA. Of course, OM signifying that it is in fact an orchestra model. This is a 14-fret guitar with a standard scale length of 25.4 inches, kind of standard traditional Martin sizing there and scaling, if you will. The BA terminology represents Brazilian rosewood for the back and sides, and A stands for Adirondack for its top here, which is a beautiful piece of Adirondack. I don't know if you can see there, just a bit of Bearclaw kind of all throughout, actually, especially in the center there, though. But man, a beautiful nice Bearclaw red spruce top, old school, traditional, nothing wrong with that at all. We did stray slightly from the traditional aesthetic in that we opted for a abalone rosette going around the sound hole, and typically on the OMBA or on a lot of the OM Rosewood guitars in general from Preston Thompson, you would find a grained ivoroid body binding, or at least on the body, at least sometimes on the neck and headstock as well, but usually it's grained ivoroid. Usually you would have the addition of a herringbone purfling right inside the binding. Obviously we do not have either of those things in this case. We actually in fact have binding of Brazilian rosewood, which how can you beat that? And then a beautiful custom purfling that is a combination of like a maple, black maple, with the black being just a little bit thicker strip of fiber compared to those two outer maple strips. So giving you a nice, relatively simplified frame, but I think very clean and somehow powerful, quite honestly, without the slightly bolder herringbone that normally would be there. Just a fresh look. No pick guard on the face of this guitar. Of course, one can always be added should you need it, but no pick guard installed from the get-go on this one. Back and sides of this guitar, as I have already mentioned, are an incredibly luxurious set of Brazilian rosewood with some beautiful, almost blood red kind of grain, especially on the very outer lower bouts as well as right down the center there. But otherwise, a lot of that chocolatey, very swirly kind of grain in this particular back set. I love the tremendous amount of just highly detailed spider webbing in that grain right in the center, those really crimson portions there. Beautiful, characterful set of Brazilian rosewood on this guitar, I've got to say. And again, just the way that dark Brazilian rosewood binding kind of ties in with the back and sides itself. Very, very nice. Bit more, again, contemporary looking compared to our more common fare with Preston Thompson. All the way up on the headstock, if I can get it in focus there, we've got a Brazilian rosewood veneer on the face of the headstock. Of course, we have the Thompson logo all the way up top done in mother of pearl. Otherwise, we've got the lotus torch inlay right in the center of that headstock. This is an original Preston Thompson design. If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to misclaim anything here. I believe the in-house artist, Simon Haycraft, for Preston Thompson, their inlay artist, unbelievably talented guy. I believe this is one of his original designs, and just a beautiful one. Great materials, great, slightly daintier shape than your typical flower pot or torch kind of headstock. We have a 1 3/4 inch nut on this guitar with 2 3/16 spacing down here at the bridge. Very, very comfortable. Again, 25.4 inch scale length on this guitar. Preston Thompson pretty much always braces their guitars with stiff, old stock Adirondack spruce bracing. What that allows them to do is really fully scallop and deeply scallop the actual tone bars and X brace in this guitar and their guitars in general to give you a lively, dynamic, and powerful sound, especially out of these Adirondack tops. They're really able to kind of lean into the light build style that I think a kind of traditional style guitar like this ought to have. Great tone out of that. Adirondack and Brazilian rosewood is a long time tried and true combination for an awfully good reason, I would say, especially in an OM, especially in a dreadnought. Folks, I realized as I was playing this guitar, I mentioned to you this has a 1 3/4 inch nut, which I'm realizing as I'm playing it, it does not. It has a 1 11/16 inch nut with a 2 3/16 spacing at the bridge, so forget about that first part. Feel to that guitar.
Shadows of Trees mentioned that all the talk of Bearclaw is making them hungry for donuts. I can agree with that.
Happens to me every time.
Yeah, Thompson is going over really well in the chat.
Nice. How could it not? I mean, it's like I said, a great Thompson OM is always great. Man, that's a pretty cool one. I like the kind of slightly, like I said, less than traditional details on that guitar for some reason really stand out to me in a cool way.
Someone asked if Preston Thompson is the one that's making machine guns from World War II, and I don't think that they are related.
Maybe the same name. I would doubt it's the same company. I've been wrong before, but seems like Christine would have mentioned something about automatic weaponry. Folks, I have been dying to get this in front of you, to get this guitar in front of you on an acoustic guitar showcase. This is the Stephen Strahm Double OC, and man, not only was this perhaps one of the most highly anticipated guitars that we've received this year, I've got to say, to me, this is one of the most impressive guitars we've received all year from any builder. That's a big statement, I realize. But this guitar has so impressed me. Stephen, as a builder, has so impressed me. He's out of Santa Cruz, California. Yes, he has a little bit of history with the folks at Santa Cruz for sure, as well as some other builders that you and I are most likely familiar with in terms of being influenced by and so on, some of which I think can even be seen in his build. I won't point any immediate fingers at anyone, but a lot of you probably know who I'm talking about. His Double OC is just an awesome, awesome guitar, period. But this example is, I think, next level. And Hondra, we want to see why desperately. We've got a very, very old air-dried German spruce top on this guitar. Think some of the finest German that can be had out there. That is what this is. Very just top end of old European spruce. Just a fantastic example. You can see an impressive and very, very clean rosette of Cambodian rosewood going around the sound hole there. And let me just mention just the silhouette of his cutaway, the upper bout, the lower bout, the whole shape of this double O is just really darn nice. I love how he almost kind of recurves back into the cutaway here, which is rather kind of modern in how it ends, but then recurves back on the other side. Really a cool shape and design, I've got to say. Man, a crazy back set on this guitar that I cannot wait to show you. A beautiful old quarter sawn set of Cambodian rosewood. And I was going to say I don't remember the last time I've seen a set of wood like this or Cambodian rosewood like this, but I don't think I ever have seen Cambodian rosewood like this, certainly not in person and, sitting in my lap type of thing. This is just an excruciating set of wood on this guitar. Unbelievable stuff. Otherwise, fully bound in ebony all the way around with some really nice, kind of purfling framing everything in there. But man, what an incredible set of rosewood. If we never see another set like this again, at least we had this one, I guess I can say. All the way up on the headstock, we've got a matching slab of Cambodian rosewood. Once again, why not coordinate the thing all the way through there? Really beautifully bound in kind of an ebony or black binding there right around the headstock. We've got black or kind of Cosmo black Godot 510 tuning machines on this guitar with those cool kind of marbleized looking buttons on there. I always really like those kind of spaced out looking buttons. Otherwise, a quarter sawn, old growth Honduran mahogany neck. All of the wood in this guitar is quite old, folks. So it certainly has the advantage of time, of being aged, of being seasoned over quite some years before making it to Stephen's stash of wood, because Stephen simply has not been building for 5, 6, 7 decades, as long as some of these woods have been around and being seasoned. So folks, we've got a beautifully C-carved neck on this guitar here with a 1 3/4 inch nut. We've got a 2 1/4 spacing down here at the bridge. Beautiful ebony bridge, beautiful inlay-free ebony fingerboard on this guitar as well. You can tell that the bracing he's done under the hood on this guitar is so responsive, so rewarding to even the lightest attack. Also to a somewhat stout attack, I've got to say, for being a relatively, not huge guitar, 14 fret with a cutaway. Also, the scale length is 24.8375, if I recall that correctly. So not a 25-inch or beyond scale length on this guitar. It's got some balls to it, I will say. But I really like it kind of in, that medium kind of finger style. lovely sustain, and just again, choice rosewood meeting choice European spruce here. Just a beautiful array of complexity and juiciness in those notes. Kind of a commanding low end of this guitar, really sturdy feel to it, for lack of better ways to say it. Yeah. That's a piece right there. That is a piece.
Matt, have you seen much Cambodian rosewood? And if so, how would you compare it to others? Stunningly beautiful sound and visual presentation.
Well, to answer your first question, no. I have seen very little, in fact. I was even trying to remember what was the last guitar that we had through here with I know that we have had Cambodian rosewood. I am racking my brain trying to figure out when and what that was. I'll get back to you folks when I figure that out. But not only do you not see it that often, find it like this. I challenge you. You won't.
Yeah, there's no hits for Cambodian on our back end. So since I've been here, no.
It would have been quite a long time ago then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say I've kind of fallen in love with that guitar's personality. She ain't hard to look at either, but as my friend John always says, you don't or you shouldn't marry for looks. That one you don't have to. I mean, it looks just fine. Looks fantastic, but man, the personality is awesome. Whew, my goodness. Speaking of personalities and looks, folks, we've reached the end of the line, if you can believe it. Folks, a staggeringly beautiful creation, one that I can't believe anyone is letting me handle, to be quite honest with you, is the Paradiso Signature Series. What did I just say? Signature Series, Paradiso Grand Concert. I'll get it out, I promise. Full koa on this guitar. Hondro, we better get this out of the way right now. Folks, we've got a just incredibly high figure, high contrast set of spalted curly koa on the top of this guitar. Yes, we'll get to the rest of it, I promise, but we're going to start with the top. Man, what a perfectly golden specimen here. We were talking about acacias earlier. This is Hawaii's acacia, if you will, and man, what a just awesome example of this material. And of course, so much effort has been put into getting it to look this way in the finished product. We're not taking that for granted at all, but they sure started out with an incredibly beautiful piece of nature's little jewelry here. Speaking of which, we've got all sorts of fun, big details, tiny details. The list goes on. Let's start with the binding on this guitar. So often, and this is not anything to complain about, so often on a Ryan guitar, we're used to seeing Macassar ebony on the binding material, as well as on the main portion, the main field of our forearm bevel here, kind of tying into the binding as well. We wanted to differentiate this guitar just a bit. We thought that Cocobolo would just be a perfect addition to kind of lean into the richness and just the warmth, if you will, of that golden koa. And Ryan just has knocked that order out of the park in an unbelievable way. Just a beautiful Cocobolo binding all the way around this guitar. I want to call your attention, if it wasn't already called to it, to the purfling around the top. You can see it's sort of a segmented tile comprised of mother of pearl, black Tahitian pearl, and little squares of reconstituted turquoise stone. That theme is carried heavily onto the rosette here. This is a version of their Pueblo Rose art rosette, the arts and crafts rose rosette. However, they've sort of flip-flopped some of the materials. As you can see, that reconstituted stone is sort of the main field or background of the actual rosette, and then you have the leaves and the rest of the kind of geometrical shapes in there that tie into the Pueblo Rose theme within, and those are like black Tahitian pearl, again, mother of pearl in there, really beautiful shell and reconstituted stone all within each other there. And then even on the very inner and outer of the rosette there, we've got little strips, again, of black Tahitian pearl. So just from big to little, lots of sweet detail in there, even getting into the bridge of the guitar. We've got an ebony bridge. It is purfled in a layer of that black Tahitian pearl, giving the bridge itself a nice iridescent frame. And then we've got little hints, again, of that arts and crafts inlay theme right on the corners of those bridge wings as well. So freaking tastefully done, I've got to say. You can see that this is a 14 fret Paradiso, of course, as they all are, with the Florentine cutaway there. I love that sharp Florentine cutaway on this body style. Really nice looking, I've got to say. Back and sides are a matching set of spalted koa, equally impressive to the top, with just intense flaming all throughout, and of course that absolutely rare spalting, especially in the center of the back there. Just tons to look at and take in. You will not get bored looking at this guitar anytime soon, I promise you that. The back and the sides are also purfled in a strip of that black Tahitian pearl, giving it a subtle but glowing frame. I've got to say, I really love how I love very colorful abalone and powa shell inlay, but I do have to say I love the addition of just the black Tahitian pearl in this context. Really gives it an extra classy feel, I think, not trying too hard at all, just classy. All the way up on the headstock, we've got a lot to break down here. We've got an awesome looking, first off, the veneer of the headstock itself is Nicaraguan rosewood, which is a beautiful color, beautiful, nice kind of wide grain to it, dramatic grain for sure. Excuse me, you can see that the headstock is framed, again, in more black Tahitian pearl. We've got a black Tahitian pearl R Ryan logo, and if you look really close, it itself is framed in white mother of pearl, giving it a nice frame in and of itself. We've got the Pueblo rose inlay on the face of the headstock with this beautiful, even down to the truss rod cover, has shell purfling and inlay on it. Just awesome detail and kind of decoration all throughout. And of course, on the face of the fingerboard, you have to believe that they continued the Pueblo rose theme all the way down the fingerboard, even down to the black Tahitian pearl lining all the way around the frame of the fingerboard itself. So just fully decked out. Even on the side shaft of the neck, if we can get this in the correct lighting here, I want to show you actually the layer that's in between the actual ebony fingerboard and the mahogany neck is, again, another strip of black Tahitian pearl that's around not only the neck, but around the actual sides and very top of the headstock as well. So just really, it's all there. It's all, you don't need to look, it's all there. Mahogany neck, as I said, this has the extended 25.7-inch scale length, which is a signature feature for quite a few of the Ryan guitars, most certainly the Paradiso. 1.75-inch nut, 2 1/4 spacing down here at the bridge, and of course the full array of Ryan innovations, the EO laser relieved bracing, which is a very light but still very stiff bracing material under the hood of the guitar. We've got the acoustic honeycomb bridge plate design, the acoustic flutes carved into the forearm bevel here. Yes, these are active sound ports carved right into that sound hole. If you're not initiated in the Ryan Club yet, that is in fact what you're looking at, is the most elegant version of a sound port or sound ports that I think I've ever experienced. But a lot of stuff to say. This Alcoa guitar absolutely sounds unbelievable, and just a warm, rich tone. I've had a few folks ask me, you know, it's got a hardwood top. It's not a spruce. It's not a cedar. It's not a redwood. You know, it's a hardwood top. Does it sound harsh? Does it sound bright? You know, is it an unforgiving sounding guitar? And man, it is perhaps the opposite of that. It is very sweet. It's very lush. Big chords on this guitar sound awesome. Golly. Man. Pure sweetness out of this beauty. What a creation. I can't imagine, as with all of these, but certainly with this guitar, I can't imagine the work that's gone into it. But I will surely sit back and enjoy the fruits of someone else's labor. That is for sure. So, Hondro,
Yes.
I ran out of guitars. You know what that means.
That means it's time to pick.
Time to pick, baby.
Time to pick. That's going to be a tough one today. And we say that a lot, but it
It
it's
never changes.
even more so today.
It never changes.
Me personally, I think I might have to go. I'm split between the O'Gorman and the Preston Thompson.
Oh, nice.
The O'Gorman,
Well,
like-
let me say why I think that's nice, if it weren't already painfully obvious. Of all the guitars, I think I can make this claim, at least my opinion. Of all the guitars on the wall, I think those are the two most different guitars that you just picked.
yeah,
Would you agree?
I think so. Yeah,
Stylistically, at least.
yeah. I really like the not only the visual style of the Gorman, but obviously the sound. You know.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
the Preston Thompson has this sort of like traditional look. I guess you know
Sure.
the Brazilian is incredible, obviously, but
Sure.
a little bit less flashy. But the sound coming out of that thing is dang.
I know. Yeah, it's punchy, but it can be delicate too,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
What's your pick?
Oh man. I'm on the I've got like a 6-way tie going on right
You
now.
can't do that.
The Huss and Dalton is so impressive. I've loved their stuff for years. I feel like the stuff that we've been ordering in the last, I'm going to just throw a number out there and say 5 years, because we've been a dealer of theirs for much longer than 5 years. But in the last 5 years or so, I feel like we've really, and we meaning Eddie's guitars and more specifically me, because I order the acoustics, we've really honed in on what works for us from Huss and Dalton. I don't know if any other guitar, and that's again, big statement, but it's here and it's the one right now, so it's easy to say. I don't know if any other guitar in recent memory, at least from Huss, represents what I just said, more in terms of honing in on real specific wood model, kind of what works for what we like here, at least. That's a really great example of, sort of how they can cater to what you want. They can make a totally different guitar in a totally different style that this might not be what you're going for, but I guarantee you they can build what you would want, even if it's not a nice finger style and beyond guitar. So that guitar really impresses me. That McNally, as I said, it's like you're putting on the nicest set of stereo headphones you've ever experienced in your life, and then you're listening to the best recorded guitar you've ever heard in your life through this like amazing sort of hi-fi surround sound system. So that one's impressive. What did we have after that? Of course, the O'Gorman, which is continuing to confuse me in all sorts of ways, all sorts of good ways. That is like one of the sweetest guitars to play, just ergonomically. It's so good, so freaking good to look at. The Thompson is the Thompson. What more needs to be said? It's a Brazilian Addy Thompson, exactly like Hondro said. What needs to be said that hasn't already been more eloquently. That guitar right there is terrifying me.
You look scared.
Because I've got a house and I have a car, and I know how to sell both. I don't know how I would explain selling either of those to acquire a guitar like that, which is what it would take. So it terrifies me, admittedly. And then this guitar, again, like the Thompson, you don't even need to play this.
That's a work of art.
I will. So yes, I'm going to stick with my original answer of 6-way tie, Hondro. I would
Perfect.
love to know what anyone and everyone in the chat might have to say.
For
If I
Firecracker
didn't run
Heart,
them off already.
it's a tie between the Thompson and the McNally for Firecracker Heart.
Yep, fair. That's fair. OM
and-
fan, I can tell. Nothing wrong with that.
All of these guitars were David's favorite, but since he played the Ryan, he will have to go with the Ryan.
Dave, that's fair. You know this one hands-on, so that's a safe call. I respect that.
Remo on all guitars are amazing. Another 6-way tie there.
Agreed.
John Lord on the O'Gorman.
Nice.
Zach
Very
Thong
nice.
on the Ryan. And
Can't
another
blame
Ryan / Gorman for Maxwell.
Nice.
We got a McNally vote here. And another McNally vote. Let's see. Lots of small guitars with big voices tonight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And another vote for McNally.
Nice.
One for the Preston Thompson. And last Ryan or Thompson. So we're kind of split across a bunch of guitars here.
Well, that's a good sign. That's a nice lineup then. If we've got a nice mixed response there, that's a good thing. That's what we like. So
Bryce Rogero on the Strahm chiming in there.
yeah, yeah, man. I need to hear somebody really, really good at guitar play that Strahm. That's what we need.
I can show you later.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Thank you. Folks, we're going to stay live. Hondro and I are going to switch right now.
No.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to say something. What the heck was it? Do you have anything else for me before I forget what I was going to say?
I don't. I just had a question way back up at the top. I forgot who asked it, but they were curious what our holiday plans were, not guitar related. So,
sure.
You got anything going on this Christmas?
Not anything that requires any long distance travel. Fortunately, I don't know anybody long distance. I'm just kidding. I don't really have any family that's super far away, so that's never really part of the equation for my crew. And I fortunately will be in and around St. Louis, I think, at least. What about you, Hondro?
Yeah, me as well. Just hanging with family in St. Louis. Both my parents are actually on a trip to Chile right now.
Oh, wow.
Looking at glaciers in Torres del Paine, and they'll be back before Christmas. I'll be hanging out with them and hearing how beautiful it is on the other side of the world.
Nice. We'll be slowly, I know it's not immediately upon us, but beyond, Christmas and the holidays and New Year and all that, rapidly behind that, we're planning to go to NAMM.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, and later on in January in 2026, we're eager to do that. I've got a number of fun things lined up already at and around the show, which is always fun. So,
right.
Folks, if you're at NAMM, plan to go to NAMM, don't hesitate to reach out to Hondro and I. If you even just want to meet up and say hello, have a coffee or something, we would sure appreciate that. And always, eager to have the opportunity to connect with folks out in the wild, so to speak, outside of the shop here. So rarely do they let us out of the shop, so it's fun to stretch our legs a little bit when we do. So reach out if you're going to be around NAMM there. We will be there and doing a bunch of filming, looking at all sorts of fun guitars, both on the acoustic and the electric side. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah, looking forward to it.
That all you got for me?
That's all I got, dog.
Rock and roll. Folks, thank you again so much for joining us on your Friday afternoon. As I always say, if you're joining us after the fact, thank you very much for spending your time with us as well. We sure appreciate it. Don't hesitate to leave comments below if there's any questions we can answer. I hope I don't, jinx ourselves here or whatever, Hondro. I'm guessing a few of these guitars are going to be gone by Monday. I can just feel it.
I'd be surprised if they weren't. Yeah.
They're too good not to. But folks, as if anything off the wall speaks to you, reach out anytime. These are for sale, if you can believe that. We will let go of them if you give us enough money for them. So reach out anytime. And our contact is all on the website and everything. Hondro, tell everybody goodbye.
All right, Guitar Geeks, we'll see you next time.